age 25, we don't have the benefit of the years behind us to know that course correction will pay off in the long term.
Yeah.
So I can definitely tell you that when I was
Sure.
early in my career, I would take a gamble, I'd get a big contract, and I would think, this is the one. This is the one.
Yes.
If I can parlay this into the next giant leap, if I can impress this person or do a great job for that individual, like they'll just springboard me into this perfect life that I want. Not realizing now at 51 that it really is about those small decisions and the course corrections and the, this contract didn't turn out like I hoped it would. And I learned some valuable lessons. I'm going to do better. Bless and release, peace out, love you, bye, moving on, right? I'm going to find a client that's a better fit for me. I'm going to find a project that's a better fit.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford. And this is the InspireHER Collective podcast and community for the whole woman, mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real, usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and rate and review wherever you listen.
And if you find yourself wanting more inspiration and authenticity, visit our website to learn how to join our nationwide community. Let's dig in. What's the largest crowd you've given a talk in front of?
Ooh, a few thousand.
And is that more scary?
You said that so casually.
It was very early in my career, which I'm grateful for, because very little spooks you after a while. It was a few thousand people, and it was a presentation on like a project that I had done. So it was kind of presenting it to the people that I had created this for. Yeah, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. I was probably 25, 30 years old. Yeah, exactly. And another large group that it was not a keynote or a presentation speech. It was more of like a breakout session at a convention. There was seating for 1,100. And I was worried because, sometimes you have 1,100 seats, and if like 5 people show up, it's real weird, real quick, right? So I was really worried about that. There were probably 800 because it felt full. When you have 800 and only 300 empty seats, but they're spread out, it feels quite full. The energy was really, really good in that one. It was a great experience.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What happens? Some audiences are just kind of a dud. Do you feel that is that the case, or is the speaker not bringing the energy? Or tell me, how does that work?
Ooh, I want to answer this concisely, but this might not be concise at all. So I'm just going to jump in and we'll see what happens.
This is a safe place.
Yes, thank you. It feels that way. Thank you. There are times when the group is off, and unless a group has a predisposed position against you, they can be swayed quite easily. They can be led easily. An example of an audience that is predisposed to kind of oppose you is like a political town hall. If you are a politician and you're talking about a policy or a law or a regulation that people are showing up and opposing, you kind of know that vibe going into it. Most of us are not in that position, so let's just kind of take that off the table for consideration. If you have a regular old audience, and I would actually even argue that if they're an audience who's attending a convention, they've paid to see you speak, they want you to do well. Their default is actually to support you and cheer for you and want you to be prepared and bring them value. So they're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt up front. Some speakers waste that, frankly. They're not prepared, and they walk up in front and they know they're getting paid and they're not bringing their A game. And that's when you start to see some of that resentment, frankly, festering a little bit, right? So I would say that there's a second element to this, which is critical, and that is, how are you designing the talk? That very talk that I was telling you about with 1,100 seats with about 800 attendees was one where I was convinced going in, this was probably 15 years ago, I was convinced going into that it was going to have to be a one-way talk. And I had a mentor at the time who coached me through it. And he said, Do you believe that's true because it's true, or is there a way for you to build in some sort of interactivity? And so what we ended up doing, and I did have to like coordinate this with the conference people ahead of time, was in that giant room, 1,100 seats, there must have been like 5 aisles. I was able to coordinate 3 microphones at the front of the room in 3 of the aisles. And so what we ended up working in was I had 3 major points. So at the end of each point, I would tell them to turn to a handful of people around them, 3, 4, 5 people, and discuss it together. And that when we came back together, they could come up to the front and share with us what they talked about. And, with 800 people, some people want to talk and they want to share. And before I knew it, there were people lined up in the rows. And so I then had to kind of say, well, we're only going to be able to take 2 or 3 people per. So come on up and let's do this. But it was very lively. It was very engaged. And the energy in the room you could just feel was completely different. And then, of course, when it was over, there were a bunch of people that wanted to say more. So they crowded the aisles to talk to me after the session was over. It was a big opportunity, a big lesson for me to learn that we
and
can
it sounds
create...
like a total win.
Yeah, for sure. Win for everybody in the room. They were buzzing. You could feel the energy change. So I think a lot of it is by design. How do we set up our presentations so that even when you can't talk to 800 people one-to-one, you can have them talk to each other. You can have them come back and report, right?
Yeah.
And then like the engagement, like raise your hand if you've had this experience or
Okay, wait, I have a question. What is your stance on speakers making people stand up and jump around? Because if I go to a conference and they make you stand up and they make you stretch, they make you do this, I'm out. They've shut me out. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm here at a conference. I'm wearing a suit.
Yeah.
I'm probably wearing a
Yeah.
dress. I've got heels on. I'm a 43-year-old woman. I don't want to be waving my hands in the
Yeah.
air at a conference. But I would be interested to know if you have any
I do
opinions
have
about these
opinions.
things because
Sure.
I have
I
strong
think you have
opinions
to know
about
your
them.
audience. And since we all have experience in the real estate industry, Colleen, I'm more like you. If somebody says get up and jump around, I'll get up and I'll stretch because it feels good to me. I'm probably not going to get up and jump around and
Yeah.
do that. However, what I would say is know your audience. A lot of real
Okay.
estate agents love that. And so I could see why this ends up
Oh
being
God.
something that becomes popular within this industry. Also, on the flip side, what I would say is that if the jumping around is productive, if it's related to the topic, the points we're going to make, if the getting up and moving around is meeting people and the topic of our keynote is networking or how to network with impact or value or something like that, like I could see that,
Okay.
right? So yeah,
I can get into that, but don't make me jump.
yes, I have walked out of one talk that had so much jumping and I don't know, the vibe was not me that day.
Was it a
That is
fitness?
so much
No.
jumping you
Yeah,
walked out.
I left. I was like, I can watch this on replay,
Oh my
I can
God, I
watch it
love
later.
it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. That's the best.
Okay, tell us
Okay.
how your career brought you to, well, tell us kind of what you do day to day now and how your career wound you to this point.
Wow. Okay, so what was I listening to? I was watching every morning, by the way. I usually draw. I sometimes also write before everything else. It's like the get up morning cup of coffee. This is like my daily discipline. I will sometimes watch YouTube videos, and there was a video today where somebody was talking about a drawing practice or something, and he mentioned James Clear and not specifically Atomic Habits, but just the idea that sometimes we underestimate the daily commitment to practice and the compound improvement over time. And I feel like when you ask me, Cheryl, how did your business get to where it is today? I mean, it was like one day at a time over 26 years, 30 years, right? This is a career in the making. So I'll try and give you just the window into some of the changes and phases. But I did start out in my 20s working for a real estate company that was growing fast. I was an employee there building technology products. So I had a small team and we were building technology tools and products. And after several years of building things, our growing agent base either didn't know that these things existed or they didn't know how to use them. So we had to get out on the road and start putting these out there in front of them, which is where my public speaking came from. At the end of it, doing all of the training, I realized I really loved the training and I didn't really love the technology anymore. So I had the opportunity to switch from the IT organization over to the learning organization, and that's where it all changed for me. The second kind of pivotal point in the journey was when my son was born. He just turned 23, and I made the decision not to go back to work in that full-time capacity. So to my benefit, I was super lucky, and the company that I had been working for said, we still want to stay in business with you. So why don't you consider being a contractor for us? And they had me run 2 parallel paths at the time. So I started doing some coaching for them in their fledgling coaching organization. And then I was doing some contract training for them as well. As the company continued to grow, they asked me to then do training out in the field for various regions and offices. So that's kind of how that piece of it grew. I coached for years for them, and both of them together got too big. So I kind of stepped out of the coaching side. I took a very small private roster of my own that I've always maintained all of these years. But primarily, training, workshopping, that has kind of been my thing. Over the years, I've had the benefit of, when my son was young, developing my business more in town. I live in the Austin, Texas area, so I would take on local clients, and that helped me work with small and medium-sized businesses. It's where I got some good nonprofit experience as well. I've also randomly done some lead generation at the airport. Like, one of my most interesting projects was with a gentleman that I overheard talking about training. He was sitting 3 seats away from me at an airport terminal, and I heard him say, well, of course they're not doing well. We don't have training for that. And as soon as he got off the phone, I said, sir, I want to introduce myself, and ended up getting a contract from that in banking, finance industry, which I had never done before. So really, really fun stuff over the years.
Oh my God.
Then you just dove in, learned the product or whatever the training needed to be, and then just went and facilitated.
I did. And I wrote some training for them and all of that. It was an interesting situation. I didn't know the company or the culture very well, but they did have some turnover after that. And so I just kind of let it glide. The project was done. I didn't try to get back in and make my way in. It was like I had learned what I needed and I was ready to move on from that experience. So it was good. But today, I'm at this point where, how do I phrase this? It has become increasingly important to me over the last 10 years that my work and my life purpose align more. So I have been over 10 years just course correcting constantly, picking up new projects that do overlap more with what that life purpose is, and saying no or phasing out the stuff that doesn't. I've got a lot of really cool different projects. I have some neat collaborations going on with a bunch of different companies, and so that has been great both for active income and just stretching my wings, but then also some passive income building opportunities as well. What does my day look like? I think you had asked me that too.
Yeah, who are you coaching, and who are you working with, and what do those sessions look like?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's always all unfolding, and I'm probably going to give you a more technical answer at first, and then however we need to bend that into the answer you're interested in. It turns out that Mondays this year, I kind of kept open for one company that I have a partnership with. It is a very small coaching company. It's called Rise, by the way, RYSE. They've got an elite coaching group called Rise Platinum Partners, and they actually had me, the owner of it, Ryan Seacrest, he had me come out and do some building with him last year of a kind of...
I like how you just very casually just dropped in that it was Ryan Seacrest. Ryan Seacrest is a big deal.
Seacrest, yes.
Oh, I was like, is this Ryan Seacrest?
No, although that Ryan Seacrest I did see at a restaurant in Manhattan one time. I did not make my way over to introduce myself. This is Ryan Seacrest.
I'm sure he would have hired you if you had.
Okay. I was like, I'm glad we clarified that, because if we just sped right past that, I think everybody else would have heard what I heard. And
I had never imagined how different my life could be if I walked up to him in that restaurant and pitched a new training program for... What did he host? Was it American Idol?
What?
Everything.
American Idol. He hosted
Maybe I could have pitched him
everything.
some training. Maybe my life would be different in that way. I don't know. Different Ryan Seacrest.
Yes.
Secrist. And He's a dear friend of mine. We did training together long ago. Our orbits have kind of come together, but he's been building this private coaching company for 5 years. His first audience was that elite producer, and he was looking for a different product that would hit a different range of producers. So he and I worked on that last year. And going into this year, I earmarked Mondays as my rise days. So it's been interesting because we're here on a Monday doing this recording. My entire morning has been pretty much back to back support or facilitating for Rise. All of that's happening in Zoom. A couple times a year, they do an in-person retreat. So like last month, I flew out and did a session in person for their group. But that's basically my Mondays.
Developing those clients, those coaching clients, into being better speakers, or are you training on something specifically? What are you doing with them?
That's a great question. So I am still kind of helping to integrate the program that I wrote with him. So I do facilitation with producers of that content that Ryan and I wrote together. He also, though, is growing so fast that he's needing to leverage. And so some of his platinum partners are getting certified to facilitate his content. And he has asked me, because I'm a public speaking coach, to be able to develop them as well. So back in December, we did a workshop for them on speaking and facilitation. And I do kind of mentor them on an ongoing basis and do some coaching with them to help get them ready. A couple weeks ago, 2 of the people that were the earliest kind of finishers of that got their own cohort to be able to take through this 60-day program. So it's really fun to watch them grow. And I do think of Mondays as basically my rise days. I have another contract going right now that is a kind of helping to retool in an existing coaching program that has been in sort of a launch phase for quite a while right now. It is a very different program. It's a very different audience that they're aiming for. That one has been a lot of time and a lot of investment and a lot of collaboration as well with multiple people, multiple teams. That has been really fun and exciting. I think for a long time I had a lot of Thursday time kind of built in for that group. Thursday and Friday, basically. So that's kind of like how my weeks are panning out, is like different clients I think of as kind of having a different day or different days during the week. Yeah. And then also, I write all of my own content too. So that gets its time and attention. I've got various things scheduled for that.
I love hearing you moving down this path over the last 10 years of like into alignment with your own purpose. And I think that so much of our audience that we're talking to is kind of in that phase. And just this morning, I got up at 6 and I finished negotiating a contract over the weekend. So I needed to get everything kind of dialed in for that transaction this morning. Did that between 6 and 7, and then got the kids ready for school and went for a leisurely walk. Didn't check the time at all because I didn't have this till 11. And I got home and I'm setting up the stuff for the puppy. And I was like, I feel like I'm suddenly like in charge of my own life. And like that feeling is like so amazing. And it's come through leverage, and it's come through like deliberate choices and actions to get to this place. And then also like a recognition of like, I can, because I think I could have been doing this for the last 3 years probably, but I didn't give myself the permission to. I was very much like, I need to keep grinding every day. And now I'm leveraging other people and like get to just have ideas and other people are executing. And it's just such an amazing feeling to get kind of to that place. You're feeling that you're there as well?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And again, for me, I think it was a very gradual thing. Also informed by an experience that I remember having when I was about 25 or 26 years old. I was working at a corporation at the time and was stressed out all the time at my job. And
as corporations will do.
It is totally true. That is life as a 20-something when you're trying to make a name for yourself and figure out your path forward.
Yeah.
But I had gone on vacation, and I remember, this is kids, well, I only have the one, but pre-child, right? I remember at 10 o'clock on like a random Tuesday morning that I was on vacation, and I went into this bakery, beautiful smells and, cute bakery, all of it. I'm going in very leisurely, and I just watched these women come in with strollers just hanging out on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. And I thought, This is a special day for me, but it's like every day for them. And I don't know their story. I, of course, was making things up in my 25-year-old mind of what was going on for them. But I remember it being very clear to me that I wanted choice in my day. And, you know, different people will say different things. Of course, we all, again, real estate industry, you ask a real estate agent, why did you get licensed? What did you hope for in this? And they'll always say like freedom, independence.
Flexibility.
But if I were really to drill down, it was I wanted the choice of what to do with my time at any given moment. And I always thought to myself, when I get there, I'll know that I've made it. So yeah, kind of, Cheryl, it was a surprise to me when I remember it occurring to me, like my entire day is authored by me.
Right.
Me. Yeah, it's freeing, it's liberating. It was terrifying at the beginning. Maybe that's why for 3 years you didn't do it, right?
Terrifying sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Well, and like,
one of the things, I was just going to say, one of the things that really stuck with me that you said was this idea of course correcting constantly through your like career. And I think that's really important to kind of highlight because, you know, a lot of what we talk about is that career paths are not linear, particularly for women. And this idea of like constantly course correcting, like trying something and maybe we like it, or maybe we don't. Maybe it works, but for a small period of time. Like you talked about that one contract with the guy from the airport, right? Like we did that, but then like that's not what we want to continue to do, right? Like tried that, great, bye, learn something, keep going forward. But I really love this concept of like, you know, you go one way and you correct back to this way, and then you correct back to this way, and constantly like I think one of the biggest things that isn't spoken enough about as far as like women in careers or women in entrepreneurship and women in business or whatever is that it is this kind of course correction constantly, right? Like until you are getting towards this really more clear and refined path. But that doesn't always happen when you're 25 or when you're 35 or even when you're 45, right?
Let me
got
say
an opinion.
I feel like I agree with you, and I would describe it differently. So here are some words and thoughts. I've been thinking about some of this recently too. I think at age 25, we don't have the benefit of the years behind us to know that course correction will pay off in the long term.
Yeah.
So I can definitely tell you that when I was early in my career, I would take a gamble, I'd get a big contract, and I would think, this is the one. This is the one.
Yes.
If I can parlay this into the next giant leap, if I can impress this person or do a great job for that individual, like they'll just springboard me into this perfect life that I want. Not realizing now at 51 that it really is about those small decisions and the course corrections and the, you know, this contract didn't turn out like I hoped it would, and I learned some valuable lessons. I'm going to do better. Bless and release, peace out, love you, bye, moving on, right? I'm going to find a client that's a better fit for me. I'm going to find a project that's a better fit for the people I want to be, you know, whatever. So I do think that that's part of it. Because I feel like I got to say something slightly controversial in this podcast interview. Who knows how controversial, this probably isn't controversial for the two of you anyway. I think that some of the reason why we don't buy into course correction and the long game early is because a lot of what we read in business wisdom is written by people who can experience linearity in a way that women cannot. You know, when we are scrapping for every opportunity, when we are making beautiful fortunes out of thin air, and we're raising kids, and we're handling our aging parents' doctor's appointments, and we are perimenopausing all of this together.
Yeah.
You know,
no
it's
shit,
kind of,
or like even the one week of every month when we feel like death.
Thank
we
you.
Still have to just like,
or like, you know, someone's punching you in the stomach
to show
every
up.
day for a week, and you're still doing the thing, generating the revenue, paying the bills, all of that. I find it more helpful, and this was a thing that I decided to do 10 years ago, was like to really start reading books by people who live lives that are more like mine. And sometimes that means that the top 10 business bestsellers are books that sit on my bookshelf for a long time. But it also means I'm not tempted by visions of a reality that are not my reality. It normalizes my experience to be able to read books that are written by or hear stories from other people whose experiences are like my experience. Because try as I might, I can't outsource a lot of those things, and sometimes I don't want to, right? I
Yeah. Carol, what am I going to say? What book am I going to hold up that can't find
tell
because I'm not
me.
in my normal office? What book do I always hate
Oh,
that I've read that is like
I wish I.
the
Oh,
power of
Oh,
one more?
oh,
I fucking hate that book. I fucking hate that book. Okay? Everybody loves that
I
guy.
don't know this
Remind
book.
me what his name
I don't
is.
know it.
Everybody loves him. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's written by a man. And the idea is that like we're all lazy, everybody's lazy, and you should just stay and do one more, right? Like make one more call,
Yes.
do one
whatever the
more
thing. Yeah.
email,
Yes.
do one more thing, whatever it is. And I was told to read this book early in I'm looking it up
Yeah.
in my real
Yeah.
estate career, and it pissed me off so much. Ed
Oh,
Milet. It's
yeah.
written by Ed Milet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, cool, bro. While you're out there like CrossFitting and like pushing one more on the bench press, who's watching your kids? Right? Or like, cool, bro, while you're out there taking one more call, I bet somebody else is picking up your kids from school because you can't, like, and to your point, and this we could be controversial about this all day long. There are not a lot of books that are written for women in business. And the other thing that I hate when we talk about women business books is this other idea of this like boss babe vibe, which I also don't resonate with. So to your point, like we were talking before the show, like anytime I now go to a conference or like a something and there's men there, I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like because I don't surround myself in those situations very often, right? Because I really am trying to lean into situations where I'm supporting women
Yes.
or women are supporting me or I'm in a space where the reality
Yeah.
is greater
Right.
because we're all trying to do these things together, right? We're not all the same, but the reality of the fact that we run businesses and we have children and we have like hormone changes and we have blah 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 blah, right? Like to your point, like there's not a lot, especially early on in our careers, that were set up for us to
This is
succeed
what
that
has
way.
made our InspireHER collective community so powerful is because so we have this women's group,
Right.
chapters all around the country, and then we're like a national hub. So these meetings, it's all women. So we're all in there talking about how like we're trying to hit this professional goal whilst having the perimenopause and the children and the aging parents and I was just
Or getting
assaulted at
pregnant
a
or
gas
getting married.
station
Yeah, like all those
by a
things.
man. Like one of our
My
meetings, one of the
God.
women came and just like
Oh,
let go about that because
wow.
she needed a safe place. And like that's what's made the community so powerful is it's like we're actually women doing the same shit as each other and living through the same hardships and
Yeah.
ha- yeah.
Okay,
It's
I got more controversy. Are you ready for this?
please keep coming, keep coming.
Okay,
I
bring
don't know if
yes,
you
come
have
on.
had this experience before, but I've recently, in just the past few years, found myself at more conferences and keynotes where there's someone on stage who's talking about something that feels revelatory to the audience, but it's something that my friends and colleagues and I have been talking about for a while. And so, to this point, that there may be books out there that are really not written for us, books that don't account for our experiences in them, right? They don't have our wisdom or our lived experience in them. I think there's something to be said for the power of community and helping to reroute some funding. When I look at the bookshelf and I see the business
Mm,
books, male author, one female author, male, I have to ask myself, what
right.
if we took that $100 budget a year for these books, $500 budget a year, and we put it toward a publishing house that focused on lifting up women writers, right?
Listen, don't give
And
me another
maybe it's
business
not a
This
idea,
feels
business,
like
maybe it's a
Antoinette.
nonprofit, maybe
I'll
it's
do
part
it.
of, right? Like it's just something that might need to
Yeah,
be organized. I don't know.
I love it.
But
somebody call Reese
Love it.
Witherspoon. This
Love
is
it.
her fucking
yeah,
jam. The
yeah.
woman loves to read and she's all about female empowerment. Somebody call
There
Reese.
it is.
I'll call
And
her
have it be
when we
about
hang up. Yeah.
nonfiction books. That's what I'm trying to say. Nonfiction books,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Also for myself, like my life purpose is to close the gender wage gap. I need to punch way higher than my weight class because I'm tired of this pervasive, what is it, 78 cents that a woman makes to the man's dollar, something like that in the United
Yeah.
I
States.
think
To
we
the
recently
dollar.
had a
Yeah.
backslide too.
Oh, okay. Well, it had improved since 10 years ago, but I acknowledge there's probably a backslide. And one of the things that I know that I can do is to help women, and particularly women of color, to find more stages,
Hmm.
speak to larger audiences, be clearer about their message out there. And so when I talk about how my work and my life purpose, I'm trying to mesh them together more, that's part of the gig for me. It's always looking for ways that we can continue to do this. Also, I will tell you, when I create my own slide decks for my own presentations, I'm looking for women to quote.
Yep.
Do you see what I'm saying? What I want
Yes.
on that slide with that beautiful graphic is not the same old recycled wisdom that we have known over the years that we were raised on. It's who's thinking now, who's innovating our
Yeah.
thinking and our doing now. And those women are the ones that I want up there. So it's finding all those tiny ways that we can continue to like advocate for leaders, business thinkers, whoever that really are representative of our experience.
Yes.
It's so interesting. So one, we had somebody bring that to our attention and with our Inspire Her group very early on. We had some quotes and they were like, "Hey, can we like
Yeah.
just use women?"
Hell
And we
yeah.
were like, "Oh yeah." And so now that's all we do, right? When we're giving our presentations or whatever. The other thing, so I'm I'm giving this conference talk Wednesday. And part of what I'm speaking about is like women building ecosystems of businesses that support, like, there's this idea that there's going to be a potential recession in 2030. So, how do we,
Insulate.
build these, insulate us and build, like hedge our bets in these different ways? And one of the things that I'm really talking about and leaning into when you're talking about these like bullet points is the fact that, like, and I've now pulled up all these stats and stuff like that. But one of the things I'm really hitting home on is that like women should be in leadership, and the fact that women, like, there's statistics about how like Fortune, that 1000 companies ran by women have like like huge percentages of success over men, right? Like, while like 800% better than men in Fortune 500 companies or whatever, that's how their companies perform. But also this idea that like women were built genetically to handle stress and pain better than men. And there's this whole concept of like, this is why we have Inspire Her. This is why you are doing the work that you're doing, because it is so important for us to have women in leadership, because not only are like, this is what we are like probably made to do, is like lead groups and lead people. And we actually, like, are genetically created, whether you decide to have children or not, like we're genetically created to like have children and have a higher pain tolerance and those things, but also lead, because that's a lot of what mothering is leading and teaching and growing, and creating communities. But anyway, I was like so psyched about this because I get to go up there and tell this whole group of like probably all white men in their 50s and 60s that like the real success is having women in leadership. And like, that is, when you're talking about your purpose as like making, women, and particularly women of color, like having a stage and having a voice, like this is what we're trying to do too, is like making sure that the world knows and that women know. And I think there's a big education point there too, is that like we've been told for so long that this is not what we're supposed to be doing, or we're not supposed to be leading. But like, no, man, like, the facts show like this
Yeah.
is what we're supposed to be doing, right? We are supposed to be leading. And when we do, in fact, those companies are more successful. So it's so interesting. And we probably need to wrap up because we're over time now. But we could talk to you for a million years about all of that. And I just love the way that how you've continued to refine what you've done and make it more in alignment with what's meaningful to you. And I think for me, that's ultimately my goal as far as like how I want to work and what my businesses are and what my businesses do. Um, so thank you for doing that. And thank you for being like a role model and like somebody that we can like look up to, but then also like point to, right? Like here you are doing what you say you're going to do. And that is always, I think, really important for us to have those
Oh,
examples
thank
in
you
our
so much for
communities.
saying that. I don't know how I feel sometimes about being called a role model, and yet
Yeah.
I think I'm at that point in my life
I know
where
it's
I just
weird,
have to
but
start accepting it too, right?
Embrace it. Okay, Antoinette, where can people
yes,
find you? Where
yes.
can people go to get information about working with you? Well, tell us. How do
Love
we find
that.
you?
I am on kind of the basic socials, so I love Instagram. Instagram's my favorite.
Same.
I consume more content on Instagram than anywhere else. But
Okay, I love
Instagram,
it.
Don't worry, I'll edit the gap. Go ahead and cough. This is fine.
Instagram, Facebook, I'm on. I don't love it there. I keep trying to find excuses to get off of Facebook. But you can go to my website. That's probably the number one place where you can see all of the offerings, a lot of the different projects and things I've been involved with. And the web address is rockontinyrebel.com.
Love it. What's your
Yes.
Instagram handle?
God, I
Actually,
love
also
it.
Rock on
Yeah,
Tiny
what's your
Rebel.
Instagram?
I have one
Okay.
that's a little bit more active. It's a more personal account called Tiny Rebel Makes. That's a lot more of kind of the creative output that I have, not necessarily the public speaking part of it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, all this will be in
I
our
love
show
it.
notes,
I
and we're
love
so
it.
grateful for all of your time today. And come back.
Thanks for having me. What a
Come
fun
back.
conversation.
Come
Appreciate
back.
you. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Come back.
All right, guys, keep doing it right. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth. Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's conversation, we'd be thrilled if you would leave us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a good laugh and some practical insight into navigating the challenges and triumphs of our minds, body, soul, and business. And remember, you're not alone on this path to success. We're right here with you every step of the way.
Remember, we're doing this right.
Right?